Let's continue working on our head turns. In the last lesson, we got the timing down of when we want our head turns to occur. Okay, those were the extreme poses that we put in. So now what we want to do is work on the spacing of our head turns, the amount of time it will take to reach those poses. And by doing so, we'll also be adding a little bit more subtlety and follow through to our animation as well. So let's bring back our NURBS curves, our control curves. Okay, and we'll select our head control, and let's scrub through our timeline to see when we want those certain actions to occur, where we want to place our poses. And we'll start with this beginning segment. Okay, so right now from frames 1 to 19, the head is just, if we hit play, the head is just really floating along from frames 1 to 19, and we want to add more of that natural snap that what we're getting from our final result. So if we go ahead and bring that up, start it back and hit play, notice the speed at which the head was turning, and we're not getting that same speed in our animation right now. So that's what we're going to work on. Okay, so how to do that? Well, on frame 8, let's go ahead and rotate our character's head more so that he's looking at us like that, not fully, but close to it, right? Closer to a value of 0 in the rotate Y. So when we hit play, notice what we get. Alright, notice the adjustment that we made just from doing that simple fix. Okay, now we get some better speed out of our head turn. Okay, now we're getting more of that natural snappiness to our head turn, that what we were seeing from our end result of the first warm-up lesson. Okay, and we don't want the movement too snappy, otherwise our animation will look abrupt and wrong. Okay, and we can't get away with too much snappy and animations like more cartoony animation. Okay, but even then we want to be careful how much snappiness we do add to our characters. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let's go ahead now and work on our next head turn. Give it the subtlety and follow through. And rather than rotating the head, what we're going to actually do is use the middle mouse button technique. And this technique is great for adding things like moving holds. Okay? And let me show you what I'm talking about. We all know what happens if we left mouse button scrub our timeline. We're able to see the playback of our animation, of course. But now let's go ahead and middle mouse button click and drag the timeline. And notice now we're able to scrub the timeline without our animation playing back. And this is great, again, for doing things like moving holds, which we're about to see right now. So let's go and left mouse button click on frame 23, and now we'll middle mouse button click on about frame 48. And once we've done that, let's now go to the rotate Y and key that. So right mouse button click, key selected on the rotate Y. Now watch the movement we're able to get if we go ahead and hit play. Alright, so notice we're getting that nice subtlety out of our head motion now. Okay, and we got a nice moving hold going on from frames 19 to 48. Okay, so you can really see the benefits again of utilizing the middle mouse button technique for keying and animation. So let's work on our next head turn. We'll go to frame 65 and let's middle mouse button click on about frame 94, and we'll also key the rotate Y there and notice the change. So we can go back to frame 1 and hit play, and notice the improvement that we've made out of our animation just from doing that simple fix. Okay, let's now work on putting a pose on our last frame. On frame 125, we want our animation moving all the way to the end. Okay, so on frame 125, let's now rotate our character's head more to his left, just a little. Okay, so when we play back our animation, here's what we get. Alright, we're getting some nice movement, but let's do a play blast to see more accurately how our animation is looking. Definitely, again, we want to get into the habit of doing play blast. Okay, we don't want to rely on our workspace, how the animation looks in the workspace, because with the play blast we'll again see more accurately how our character is moving. Okay, and also use the play blast to or while it's playing back slow to see any areas in the animation you may want to fix. Okay, so we've got some nice movement going on in our animation. Alright, so just from doing those simple fixes, we're able to achieve a much better look. So that completes this lesson, but before we move on, I did want to show you that we can draw in the F-check window. Okay, so if we hold the right mouse button and click and drag, notice we're able to do a few drawings in there. So this is great for doing certain things like line of actions, or wanting to draw a certain disposition of your character that you're trying to reach. Okay, or if you wanted to be funny and draw a little mustache on the character. Okay, but you can draw on the F-check, and it is very helpful. And if you hit play, notice how the drawing doesn't show up until you reach the frame that you drew on. Okay, and if you ever want to clear a frame, okay, of a drawing, make sure you're on the frame that you drew on, and go to File and select Revert. And notice now that cleans up the frame. So I did want to show you that. But with all of these things done, we have completed this lesson, and we can now move on to the next lesson, where we'll continue working on our head turns to get them looking more believable, more natural.